series. In between that happens, we're going to be having the LA Valiant coming up on stage, going up against the Toronto Defiant. Thanks to all of our viewers on Disney XD. If you want to stay tuned in, make sure you flip over to twitch.tv/Overwatch League. We'll see you next time otherwise. Guys, stay tuned. Defiant versus Valiant in just a few.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota, official North American partner of the Overwatch League. Toyota, let's go play.
It starts with a surge of adrenaline. Signals flood the nervous system. Pupils race back and forth behind closed eyelids. Then open, awaken.
Number 3 is almost upon us, and if you couldn't tell, who's features one of our home teams, the Los Angeles Valiant will be taking on the Toronto Defiant.
I don't really understand the hand puppet thing, what that has to do with the Valiant, but all right.
Are you really trying to quantify and understand the fandom around the Overwatch League, Matt?
No. No, I'm not gonna try.
Definitely a good idea. Obviously winless. The Valiant right now. They've had 2 very tough matches already in the league, it's safe to say, but this is a team who were victorious in Stage 4 last season. Yes, they didn't go to the playoffs, or not as far as they would have liked to, but this is a team that has shown us those glimpses of brilliance, but have been unable to convert on the scoreboard.
Look, it seems like they have a pretty strong front line with Bait and Space, which we knew, and then Izayaki has been really strong in the Zenyatta role, and then I think when they've kind of flexed, whether it's Kuki or Costa as the main support, I think both those players have been fine, and they're like 2 rounds of control away from us coming in here with a completely different story. They'd be 2-0 with wins over NYXL, who's 4-0, and the Spark, who up until this week we thought was really strong.
They looked very dominant in week 1.
But I think it would be a completely different story. We come in and talk about the Valiant.
You've got to have a chip on your shoulder after 2 map 5 losses coming into a series like this, and perhaps if you're the Valiant, you're eyeing off the Defiant as your first victims in this season. The Defiant themselves have been okay, actually. They've had a fairly solid start. I mean, I wouldn't say that expectations have been sky high for this particular roster coming into the league. We saw a lot of talented individuals that have sort of come forth. We asked ourselves, you know, would players such as Ivy and Stella, would they really come to the fore? Yaking, of course, as well. So we're seeing it. I don't think anyone's disappointed about the Defiant so far.
Yeah, we have Envy on the Defiant going up against his old team. He was on the LA Valiant for a large part of last year in the off-tank role, and then as soon as Space becomes eligible to play, don't really need Envy anymore, and the Toronto saw the opportunity this year and they picked him right up.
Yeah, Overwatch League coaching veteran Bishop also returns at the helm of this roster, so there's plenty of storylines, you know, in the mix there. But talking to Envy, he's a veteran player. He's a bit older than the rest of his roster, and we asked him, we sat down.
Fiery guy.
Yeah, absolutely. He was honestly a very aggressive player on the Valiant when he was playing that flex tank role, and they definitely opted for someone who was a little bit more, I guess, stable in the form of Space. We'll see him go head-to-head now pretty soon.
Yeah, and I think Toronto has accomplished what they wanted to do when they made this team, is they went out and found a bunch of underdog players with a lot of talent. They're putting them together, and it's going to be a process, but I think they have the talent to be a pretty successful team this season.
And true to their name, they're looking to stand their ground today in the face of quite the opposition. Let's welcome to the arena, the Toronto Defiant. In their away jerseys, the Defiant take to the stage again. A lot of talk about these individuals, right? There's no doubt the scouting for this roster initially was very solid. 1-1 result is nothing to sniff at, you know, as opposed to, you know, what we're seeing from the rest of the league. They're looking not bad, a little bit shaky at times. That chemistry is still building.
And I think it's just important. Don't have those weeks where you end up with 2 losses, like 1-1. You end up putting together some 2-0 weeks during that, get one game to go your way, and you're looking, you know, really close to making the overall season playoffs. Ivy playing Zarya. I think he needs to have a good game today. Now, we talked a little bit about the Valiant Zarya play being up and down, you know, who's going to play it game in, game out. I think Ivy could really be a big difference maker for Toronto.
And of course, representing the City of Angels, the hometown heroes, let's welcome everybody, the Los Angeles Valiant. It just seems right to see him in the green and gold. We've seen him obviously play in the control maps for the Valiant thus far. He's subbed out usually after map number 1.
Like I mentioned earlier, you know, the support's very strong. The front line, it's just what do you get in game out from Kareem and Agilities, KSF, Bunny. And look, I think Agilities has all the talent in the world. We've seen him do some tremendous things on like Genji in the past, Pharah. I think if they can figure out a way to harness that talent, you know, that he has, get him a little bit more consistent, I think this team can go places.
I mean, yeah, every person's face that we pan across here is brimming with talent. Space, I mean, this guy has about as much success as I do with growing facial hair, but in-game, a monster on that team.
Like, how many teams can say they have better off-tank flex support duo than like the Valiant? I mean, with Space and Izayaki, you're looking at two of the better combos of those roles in the league.
And how important is that combo right now, especially when D.Va is such an important part of those combo pieces, and Zenyatta has to be quick on the trigger finger when it comes to transcendences, especially with the amount of Sombra that we're seeing literally running around the meta right now. You have to be on your guard. Speaking of which, let's head over to our map set presented to you by, of course, Toyota. Ilios is where we begin.
Ilios, you can see some Pharah play out of the Valiant, like we mentioned. Agilities can play that hero at a very high level. I know Horizon and Dorado towards the end, I think those are where you see like maybe some really kind of standard 3-3 compositions come out. I think this first map, it's always a toss-up on control. I think you can, maybe that's why Kassa comes in and plays some control. Maybe you want the Mercy that he had last year to come in and be a big-time player for you.
That was definitely one of the biggest upsides to Custer in this Valiant roster. Not only his leadership, but that Mercy play. And, you know, he had to, you know, pick up Lucio towards the later part of the season. That was sort of coming into the meta, and he wanted to continue to be relevant in this roster. And so far, he remains. On the side of the Defiant, though, we're definitely expectantly waiting for, you know, the damage dealers to really get to shine a little bit. Right now, you'll be seeing Stella on the Brigitte, Ivy on the Zarya. But if they come out with the Moira here, that's definitely something worth mentioning.
You know, Moira we usually don't see going up against teams that run D.Va. You lose a lot of value with her biotic orb.
Traditionally, of course.
Yeah. So, but Moira does provide a ton of healing in general, just throughput. So you'll be able to have a lot of sustain on the point. Maybe you know they're going to come out with the Winston version of the 3-3, and just to keep your Reinhardt topped up, you run the Moira.
Well, that's quite the greeting for Fate. As soon as he walks in the door, he gets knocked around the chops and stunned. With the pressure on towards Yakpung, it's inexorable. And the Valiant know what they want. They push through. They have to trade main tanks in order to do so. But on the backside, the damage definitely favors the home team. See Ivy stunned there as well. Aid booped up. They'll be using the Fade to try and get away, but the fight's already done. The upside to the Defiant is that they put out so much healing from their supports that they are both ready with ultimates for the next fight.
The thing, though, is when you play in Turtle on the point there, and you're giving Izayaki that much space on Zenyatta, he's going to start picking you off at range, putting down over 1,000 damage there in that first fight. There's no Discord orb for the Toronto Defiant to put down some more damage. See, Yakpung gets bumped off the high ground there by space.
Switch up here. Let's see how the Reinhardt goes now. Obviously less mobile than his counterpart Winston. Graviton surge from the Valiant. They charged that one up beautifully in the previous fight. And yes, it yields results. So much so, in fact, that the Defiant, even after an investment of their own ultimate abilities in that fight, come out vastly second best. 40% on the clock here for the Valiant.
And now you see Aid switch over to Zenyatta, because you had nothing to really save you from that Graviton surge that was going to come down. You had the sound barrier a little bit too late. At that point, no point to invest it. So the Valiant have Trance and they have sound barrier here to live through this Graviton surge from Ivy.
Yakpung already has a Discord orb applied to him, and he drops his shield now. That would have caused him to take a lot of damage, but quickly the sound barrier applied to Toronto, so the Valiant take a quick step back. But as soon as you know it, they're in the fight once more. Envy, though, doubles down with the self-destruct, and again, it was the charge from Yakpung to set that up. And the Valiant probably a little bit frustrated at this point. Having been in the lead for most of this map, they invest in that fight, and they come out not on top. I'll give you the big tip.
I mean, they don't overly invest, though. You hold on to sound barriers, so now you come into this next fight with grab, sound barrier, rally. You did end up using your self-destruct. Space actually used it while he was in the grab, maybe to deter Yakpung from coming in, putting down some extra damage. As you're going to have Kareed build up the grab here.
Oh, the
Shatter
boot
that
up!
comes in, nice boot.
Yeah, Custer was caught with that one, and he had the sound barrier, an integral component to a team fight win for the Valiant. That was off the table. Aid wants to follow up, quickly dispatching Harmony Orb to the high ground. Envy. But the Valiant want to push back a little bit more here. They're actually feeling like they want to fight. Custer hasn't joined them yet, but they're trying to time it so that he arrives at the most crucial moment. Earthshadow, no connection from Fate there. And Aid is sitting comfortably at the back of the Graviton Surge. Connects, sound barrier for Custer. He's returned to the fray. And Yakpung is the first casualty. 6v5, player advantage for the Valiant now as they want to pressure on a little bit more. Ivy just smacked up against the wall. Nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. And now the Valiant will retake the point at 78%. Well, close enough too. And they'll be pretty close to finishing off this first round. A lot of back and forth here, Matt.
You pretty much have one more fight that the Valiant will need to win. You have the Shatter, and you're going to have self-destruct. As Izayaki uses the Transcendence just to put that really in their favor. As they didn't want to let Roki kind of stall that out with Envy. You could have got a lot of percentage there for the Defiant.
Fate wants to try and shatter Roki before he has a chance to use a sound barrier here. So Space setting up here with a self-destruct. Yakpung takes out Custer early on. It looks like they were trying to use the self-destruct to get Yakpung to turn his shield. So there could be a profitable shatter from Fate. Didn't work though. And the Valiant realize that they've kind of spent ultimates and got nothing done, so they try and cut their losses and back up here. Graviton Surge, they baited the Defiant in, and Roki falls first. Self-destruct thrown in, Fate kept his shield in the right direction though, and he will stay standing. Transcendence after the fact for the Defiant. Only 5 players benefiting from that extra healing, and the Valiant are ready to go again.
Yeah, they can use their own Transcendence and get aggressive, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Izyaki's going to use the Transcendence. Asta picks up Yakpung, you lose that Reinhardt. A lot of sustain. It'll be another grab here that comes out from Ivy. He's got space stuck in it. He's going to use the self-destruct. Is the Valiant now moving on the point, trying to flip it?
Look at the cap, and they only need the 1%, so it's safe to say the Valiant are home and hosed. There'll be a wrecking ball on the point, will attempt to get there just in the nick of time. Yakun gets their shields up. So much damage, though. Impossible for him to live through that barrage, and that's it. Strong start for Los Angeles. We'll see now if they can continue this run on the second round. They want to make a quick affair of it here and get the most out of map 1 as they possibly can. More to come from Ilios.
It starts with a surge of adrenaline. Neurons fire. Signals flood the nervous system. Limbs begin to lighten. Pupils race back and forth behind closed eyelids. Then open, awakened. Now it's up to you to decide what to do with it.
Just do it, just everybody, just everybody, come and get it down.
Game plan working pretty well without a hitch for the Valiant thus far. Absolutely saw resistance and signs from life from the Toronto Defiant, but they didn't quite the pieces where they needed them. The committing with a Transcendence with only 5 players up. The Valiant did a good job to bait Toronto into some less than ideal engagements prior. Let's see how it unfolds.
Yeah, they were able to hold on to that Izayaki Transcendence for the end there. And it's really Kareev. Kareev doesn't die there on the first point, and that keeps his average energy so high. His energy throughout the game on Zarya sitting at above 70. While Ivy on the other side, no, he had 4 deaths. It doesn't seem like a lot, only 4 times going to the respawn. But that knocks his average energy down to 40. It's a huge difference in terms of damage output.
Fate, a little bit too far perhaps. Yes, Stella finishing the job, but over the edge goes Envy. And with Ivy falling on the periphery, the Valiant have a player advantage now, 5v4. And that quickly is going to get snowballed in favor of the green and gold. It seems as if Fate had overextended, but his presence there was enough to take attention away from the Defiant and left them exposed.
I mean, sometimes you're going to have to give up your Winston to kind of get what you want. When he's playing that aggressive and cleaving and putting down so much damage, if he falls, but you still create the space and you get enough players weak to pick up 2 eliminations off the back of it, you don't hate it.
Agility's there. It's a shield bash. More just to slow the Defiant up and try and disrupt them than to actually find a kill. But an early Graviton surge for Kareev here. That's a very good omen for the Valiant. No kills found amongst that with the Transcendence in play from Roki, and Agility's maybe a little bit too far forward. Very timely Transcendence from Izayaki now. The Valiant obviously will have the healing later on in the fight, but still no kills. We hear the rallies popped. Both teams reaching for those support ults, Matt, just to make sure no one dies earlier than they should. But a late grab for the Defiant. That's very good timing for them. The Valiant were pretty much out of responses by that point.
And I'm surprised the Valiant decided to play from that position. After using their Transcendence, they have to know that Ivy has this Graviton Surge. And instead of spreading out and moving around and just trying to like play in different spots, not allow him to land a big grab, they just kind of huddle up. They don't, I mean, maybe they're trying to bank on space, eating it right, but there's so many areas you can throw it against the wall there and pick up, 1 or 2 eliminations.
Your odds of winning a team fight are at their lowest after losing a Zarya as that first hero. If you lose a Winston, you still have a 20% odd chance of winning. They need a Zarya. The grab is so important. Soundberry here for the Valiant. Custer had that one late in the fight. Looks like he didn't have a chance to use it while he was in the grab himself. And Fate now is forced to use a Primal Rage, which could be deadly in these close quarters, but another grab from Ivy. That's a very quick charge. Space tries to throw in a self-destruct of his, and it's Fate to fall. And now Izayaki will follow. Much better look from the Defiant so far. Like you said, Matt, they picked a good chance. The Valiant hung around longer in a fight than they otherwise should have before. And that affects this fight now as well with the advantage the Defiant brought.
And now the percentage will swing over in favor of the Defiant. So they do have the lead now on this point. All you have is the rally, which I know.
Watch Fate, by the way. Look at how much he's talking.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you try and engage with rally. Force them to rally as well, because you are ahead in terms of sound barrier. Maybe then you get that first. Yep, there's rallies from both sides, so.
Not an echo.
Nope.
Fight beginning now. Fate knocked back there. Stella doing a good job of actually trying to, again, separate Fate, cart him off the rest of the Defiant with a whip shot. And there, Fate gets picked off. He tried to work in from a different angle to gain attention, but the Defiant used that against him.
You know, Fate's initial engages keep getting stopped by Stella, like you mentioned, on Brigitte. And then when he tries to get back to the team and then go again, that's when they're able, he's still slightly weak. There's a lot of healing that needs to go to the rest of the Valiant as well as they're being chipped down. As Fate's going to have to get a touch here.
Karib is not getting these grabs quickly enough, unfortunately, or they're not having the impact they need, because Ivy has another one. Karib will probably charge his in this same fight. But this is it. The Valiant have to fight to stay in this one now, or it'll be 1-1. Karib knocked around again. Fate splits himself purposely, and then by the time he rejoins his team, he's just sucked into a Graviton Surge. He's still alive. The self-destruct doesn't fight anyone, but Fate was discorded. He tried to make a last desperate foray into the backline, but was quickly stifled. The Transcendence means the Valiant need to push forward and get value out of that healing ultimate, otherwise they'll be sitting ducks. But the Defiant responding in kind with a sound barrier of their own. Both teams trying to pad their durability with those support ultimates to get aggressive, and now we're one at peace here. The Defiant fight back.
The Zarya battle turned on that point in favor of the Defiant. Ivy was great. They're on well, and towards the end, you mentioned, Karib's got to get a good use of the Graviton Surge. It gets eaten up by Envy. And then Envy throws in the self-destruct, able to get one with the grab self-destruct combo. So, the Defiant don't have, the biggest names, right, in the league, when you look at their roster, but talent-wise, they can go toe-to-toe with the best.
It's a high ceiling. I think that's what people get so excited about. As we saw before, Envy was 4th in the league for ultimates negated.
Yeah.
Probably gone up that list a little bit further. 1 every 20 minutes, I believe, which is significant. That's quite a lot. 0.55 per 10 minutes, so just do the maths. The Defiant out with the Reinhardt. And the Valiant will also be playing Reinhardt here, so again, these comps really focus on sticking together, playing around that main tank and using the shield effectively. Stellar and Aid taking a little bit of shrapnel early in the fight. And look, there it is. Great push here from the Valiant. But Envy was in the middle with that defense matrix. It doesn't cut enough of the damage. It's all close range damage from the Valiant. Hard to mitigate that with defense matrix.
Yeah, nothing you can do to keep Stellar up there. You lose your Brig. You have to back out, and it's not because of the stun or just the Inspire uptime. You don't have the repair pack. And there's just not enough healing that you can provide with Zen and Lucio to keep your Reinhardt alive.
It's all over time. It's all sustained healing, but the burst healing from the repair pack, plus the armor it gives, is really important to get someone out of trouble, get them out of jail free. The Valiant take the point, but look, the Defiant let it only go to 20%. They want to push him out.
I mean, once you use Bubble, it's really difficult, not to have the repair pack. Big Graviton Surge. Some kills going in favor of the Defiant here. Valiant gonna save some ultimates here. The point will go over to the Defiant. Nothing too crazy there. Got the grab, you came in, used it. The Valiant didn't really answer with much.
So obviously the Valiant wanted to save ultimates. They just invest that rally, but the Defiant recognized this. Mid-fight, they say, look, they're not using ultimates. We're so far ahead. Don't use any more. Save them up. So the Valiant, it was a pretty cheap fight for them. They didn't invest too much, but yet they're still behind on a lot of these big abilities, which means this next fight's going to be big. Unless there's an early pick-off and one team backs off, you're going to see a lot of things happen here. That's a rally from the Toronto Defiant, so they're pushing up. Fate boot back towards the Defiant.
But that's what the Valiant want to just use their speed boost and back up. They want to wait this rally out. Now they'll start to move down onto the point as Fate comes in. Self-destructs up in the sky.
Grab there, that one will hurt. Custer down. It's tough for the Valiant. I mean, Space was forced to use his self-destruct in order just to get his mech back. He took a ton of damage overhead that he wasn't ready for. So he was already out of the fight before it began, and then the grab followed. And the Valiant had no options. And look at Ivy, 62% on that grab. Look how fast it's charging when he is charged up.
I mean, up to 81% there. And they use their bubble, the Valiant, onto Fate when he drops to the point to keep him alive. And they don't have the bubble to use inside of that Graviton Surge. So maybe you would have been able to keep Space inside of his mech as he got quite low. Had to use the self-destruct, not in some kind of combo. So you do have the Shatter, but you see the way that Defiant's playing. They're playing so close to the choke. They're going to want to get their Shatter off as well here.
It's like trying to win a match of chess without your queen losing a hero early in these fights. So the Valiant want to barrel forward, try and put some pressure on the Defiant. Maybe make them force out an ultimate and be ready to jockey back if they need to. There's the Graviton Surge. That doesn't surprise the Valiant, but they layer their support ultimates. Both get used at once, so they don't have the ability to stretch them out over the course of this fight. And again, they keep themselves alive, but they don't get kills. They're not whittling down the numbers of the Defiant. And now at a sound barrier, Toronto are more than happy just to keep pushing forward. They space their support ultimates out, and it pays dividends.
Once you see both support ultimates layer there for the Valiant, that is exactly what Toronto wanted. It could not have gone better there. They're able to come back hold on to their sound barrier for a bit longer, and then use it. The Valiant do have some reinforcements coming back here, so it's going to be a pretty drawn-out fight.
Pile driver agility's knocked back, but Fate couldn't even get back. He's taken down by Envy self-destruct, and now Envy can go straight for Izayaki in the back line. There's no one that's going to come and save him. Envy more than happy to oblige. Another attempt here at agilities to keeping this one going, but time is up. And a crucial mistake in communication and alt economy cost the Valiant map 1. The Defiant looked much more solid coming into the later stages of that round, Matt. The stall was not enough.
You know, the Valiant, they lose another close game. It's kind of been the story of their season so far early on. Whether it's game 5 or these controls, always going to the final point, but not able to come out on top.
Much more to come in this series still, and the Valiant are still looking for that precious first victory in this 2019 season of the Overwatch League. They'll be fighting hard for it right after this break.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official...
It starts with a surge of adrenaline. Signals flood the nervous system. Pupils race back and forth behind closed eyelids. Then open, awaken. Now it's up to you to decide what to do with it.
Well, what's in a name was the first question we asked before the Overwatch League launched. And so far, the Defiant are living up to theirs. They're very used to being an underdog already in this season. We've heard from their coaching staff, their management. They prefer that. But they come out with the first map, they're not going to be underdogs for much longer.
No, and then usually this is where we would run the big support graphic. We tell you the sad news that Custa's going out, but he's not. So Custa will be in here for map number 2. So we have seen them put Kuki in, outside of the control maps. So, but it looks like a little bit of a change of strategy here for the Valiant today.
Yeah, at one point it looked like, Custa wouldn't be playing and then only playing control. So this is an interesting change, and it's clear to see that while looking for that first victory, the Valiant are making
Custa
some tweaks. Yep, Adelaide's finest, I guess you could say. Yeah. I'll go second on the list of Adelaide's finest, that's fine. Hollywood is map number 2. And again, a good chance to see some of that tank play showcase from Fate in that matchup against Yakpung, which tough one for Fate, man. He got tunneled pretty hard by the Defiant. You saw when Fate tried to work on Ilios on his own to, I guess be one half of the 2 prongs. He get picked off a bunch.
And I think we saw some great Zarya play from Ivy. He got off during the Houston game. Yeah, he had some rough moments, but since then, he's been lights out on the hero. We did see the other day when we casted LA Valiant versus NYXL, Kuki was just not able to get some sound barriers off in key moments. So maybe you're just bringing in a more experienced support player here in Custa to just kind of see if things will go your way. Izayaki picks up a kill. We go straight to pause. Toronto's like, we can't allow that. He's pushing way too hard.
Looks like something might have gone wrong there for Aid. Either way, the Valiant identified him. He was sort of on his own. They sort of jumped on him there. It was a very quick response.
He would have been dead anyway.
Something was not quite right. So we'll get that one sorted out in just a moment. But yeah, we're speculating, by the way, about Custa and Kuki. We don't have official word on that one. So again, we're theory crafting, as many of you sort of like to do. But we saw a brief glimpse of the player graphic, and this man on your screen here was doing a lot of the talking. He is a communicator. Obviously, it's not a Valiant issue. Custer's looking over, he's going, "Come on, guys, I've got to be down the pub in a couple hours. What's going on?" Hey?
Custer does bring a ton of experience as well. From the team last year, come in just like an older, wiser presence, on the field, right? And some of these like high intensity games, right? Like against New York the other day, where it's so back and forth. You would like to have kind of like his calming presence, so to speak, on the stage, which they didn't have in a lot of moments.
And I mean, I'm always going to gas the boy up because he's a mate, but he actually left Australia and moved to to Canada to actually even be in a position where he could at some stage try out for a team that might eventually be part of the Overwatch League. So he made this like huge investment, this huge commitment.
Gave up a lot
before the Overwatch League was even really thought of, just to try and be a part of some of the top tier Western teams, because our internet sucks. And Scott Morrison should fix that right now.
And also at the beginning of last season, he's on the Dallas Fuel.
The internet. Seriously, we're slower than Slovakia, man. What's up with that?
It's tough. It's also, he's on the Dallas Fuel at the beginning of last year, and he ends up in the trade where Unko goes to the Dallas Fuel, Custa goes to the Valiant. It helps both teams, I think.
It seems to benefit them, both in their own way. I think it allowed AKM and sort of Unko to eventually be on that same team and leverage the same synergy.
Obviously, it helps the Valiant, I think, way more. They boost up the standings. Also, Space comes in at the same time. So we'll get back into the game here.
Yeah, so look, we're going to have it's a full reset of the game.
They swap sides.
Oh, yeah. So they were not on the correct sides. The Valiant looked like they were having just to play along, and both teams were. But, all things need to be handled in correct order.
We didn't want defense, but if our defense is going to start like this, we'll take it. So you have Reinhardt on D here. I wonder if we see the Valiant try and go with anything a little bit more DPS heavy, or we see the Rein.
Bro, come on! Who do you think you're talking about? This is like the measured, methodical Los Angeles Valiant here. And they're not prone to flights of fancy. No, I think they're playing 3 tanks and 3 supports.
There's something about Reinhardt players as well. Like, when they see Reinhardt on the other side, regardless of whether it's the right call or the wrong call, they want to play Reinhardt. Like, it's something about this one-on-one Reinhardt battle. The big hammers, everybody's swinging at each other. They want to take.
Agility's just trying to see if he could shield bash one of the stragglers from the Defiant as they just quickly reposition on the point. Nice little boot. Roki just scroot and back up on the high ground there as he's looking for a spot again to knock someone out of position. Here's the push though. Stella takes a bit of damage, gets bubbled up, and now is fine. Fate, keep your eyes on those main tank health bars. Yakpong and Fate are integral to their teams being able to stand their ground. So Space wants to interpose himself between the two teams, eat as many projectiles as possible, and be a nuisance for the time being until it comes time to dive on someone. Izayaki's been found out though. Ivy just makes his way into the back line, takes the Zenyatta out, and Fate without that extra healing, he's done.
And the Valiant tried at the beginning to get rid of Ivy. They thought he was a little bit out of position. He's over by the cafe. They try and go in and push him, and he's able to get a repair pack, stay alive, and just getting so much damage onto himself, with his bubbles. He's able to turn that into damage as, gets his Graviton Surge here for Kariv. So all 6 ultimates here online for the Defiant. It's important they don't use all of them in this fight. Yeah, then the Valiant probably say it.
The Valiant will eventually be close enough to those as well, you're right. So it will be a fight where we see a lot of these ultimates committed. I'll try and keep you abreast of the action. Here we go. Rally for the Valiant now. Just to get up a bit closer and shrug off a lot of the poke damage. Shadow, Stella and Ivy go down. It went under the payload. Self-destruct in the back. Custer couldn't be shielded. He was too far to the left of Fate when he had that barrier up. And Space is going down to that same self-destruct. Envy and Ivy getting so much work done in separate fights. But overall, Toronto looks solid on this defense.
It's a Valiant try and wrap through that choke. It's kind of a difficult spot to avoid the Graviton Surge there that comes down from Ivy. They only pick up 1 with the grab plus self-destruct combo. You get Custa, but it's pretty big because he has sound barrier, right?
I mean, he can't use it. He can't touch the ground. Lucio needs to touch the ground or a horizontal surface to use sound barrier properly. Here comes the self-destruct in, and actually catches Roki out. Good result for the Valiant. They find Yakpong in the follow-up here. They have positioning on the point, and that's all they need for now. 4v6 favoring the Valiant, and Custer is not even being looked at. This is where he shines. weaving in the damage, keeping his team nice and mobile. Even a quick finish on Envy, love to see it. And a Valiant to get on the road here. Look, great defense from Toronto, though. You're very happy with that. 3 minutes plus shaved off the clock before the Valiant even get the payload moving.
And look, if they want to come back in this next fight and play close, they can. They'll have Transcendence, Grab, Shatter, Rally, Self-Destruct. A lot where you see where they're playing. They're going to go right up to the door here, play right at this corner. They want the Valiant to invest some of their ultimates. Toronto will counter with ultimates of their own. And if they get a hold here, they can push through the spawn. They're going to use Rally to engage. The Valiant use the Rally to back up here.
Neither team really taking a huge scratch from that first little foray. And again, I don't blame the Valiant for using the Rally. Earthshatter comes in here. Caster knocked down inside that back room. Izayaki in not great shape either, but the Transcendence comes out. Both teams go for the Graviton Surge, self-destruct. Envy looking for something again. Not so lucky this time. Yakpung has a Discord Orb on him, and he's taken a heck of a lot of damage. He has to back away. Try not to force himself into the corner. So many ultimates used. Payload really not moving, but Yakpung's shield is very low, and the Valiant pressure it. Shield down for the enemy Reinhardt on the side of the Defiant, and they run him over. That's the first pick, the most important.
This is still fine for the Defiant, though, Mitch. They're playing so close up. How many ultimates you have to see the Valiant invest to keep moving the card?
Oh, gosh. Izayaki.
Sick aim.
I mean, the orbs are not light speed, right? They take time to travel. You have to lead your target a fair bit. Now, it's easier if they're closer to you, in all fairness, but you also, you know, if you're holding down mouse 1, the orbs will come out at a constant speed. You need to be able to make adjustments for those. It's just nice to see. Transcendence.
Toronto has played this defense well, though. I mean, they've kind of played it in terms of like the best percentages to win the half. Like, they're definitely making the right calls here.
It's not flashy, but they're making the right moves, man. Here's that Transcendence I was about to mention. Izayaki pushing forward. Oh, Kareem notices Adolf in the corner. Nicely spotted. He had a Transcendence, but he won't be using it this fight. It'll have to be a sound barrier for the Defiant, and they're still going to get caught up inside that grab. Space with 3. No escape for the Defiant there, and the Valiant now starting to build some momentum. Rough start, but they picked up speed.
Would have been nice to have that Transcendence if you're Toronto, right? No.
Well, yeah.
Drops at the beginning there to Kareem. You don't have the Transcendence. And that Graviton Surge comes in. This is a good play from the Valiant. They're going to use the speed. They're going to get aggressive, catch some players coming out of the spawn. This is going to buy them space to move the payload around that first corner. It's so deadly, this first corner here. You see they leave the payload. They're going to go back.
It's all right. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. This is what they wanted.
There's no dogs in the car. It's fine. Now, I guess also, Matt, with how many ultimates the Valiant use, that extra fight, that push, just allows them to get damage. It allows them to be closer to getting their next wave of ultimates, because you see them used in concert so often. Here's the push. Both teams again rally.
Kareem's a little out of position there. He makes it back.
Yeah, he was on the high ground, so he was able to drop over the top of the Defiant. Right, so the Defiant, essentially both teams just trade rallies there. No result. And self-destruct again to force the Valiant out, and they caught Fade out as a response. So again, the self-destruct there isn't trying to get shock and awe. 3 kills. It's not supposed to be a top play. It's supposed to separate the Valiant. Make it Fade.
You really get nothing with your Transcendence. If you're the Valiant, you use it to try and keep Fade up. He just gets burst down so quick. Look how much pressure they're putting on Yakpung.
His shield low. He has the shadow. He gets 2 though. Fate quickly puts his shield up, and a sound barrier as well, time to protect them. The Defiant have options here, and that's a grab from Ivy now. This will slow the Valiant down. A lot of people were caught in that one. That's such an efficient way to win a fight from Ivy. Great response.
The Valiant, though, they do come back with Shatter, Grab, Self-Destruct combo. But you know, the way Aid and Roki have been putting down some damage and also providing heals, they're going to build up these ultimates rather quickly. So you have all 3 support ultimates here. So, that is a really big first pick as they get aggressive. I don't think the Valiant expected that much aggression from Toronto here to come right around the corner.
Yeah, fascinating rotation, wasn't it? Again, driving a wedge between 2 halves of this Valiant squad.
They're forcing them out of like the long spawn door. Usually you see everyone come out of the staircase here, but just so much damage. They're playing so aggressive, they're forced to go the long way. Even get back here towards the choke.
Kareem is deep. Oh, it's eaten. I mean, it was pretty telegraphed. Kareem was rushing forward on his own, clearly looking to make a play for his team. But instead, it's the egg on his face. Fake there blocks the damage from the backside of that self-destruct, and Ivy goes down to spaces. Yakpung caught up there. Great Discord Orb once more being applied by Izayaki. And the man himself is sitting in the back line more than happy to support. Kariv against wants to push up. I mean, he got his grab eaten, but he's almost got another one. 65%, and he's charged. He's fired up. He's ready to rumble.
And you get nothing with that grab when NB eats it, but it's a nice Earth Shatter there from Fate that helps set up some kills that give Valiant the chance to finish the map. He doesn't come out with a big shatter there.
Well, speaking of shatters and not being big, Fate was knocked into the air, but Agilities was still able to block it. One ultimate down for the Defiant for no gain. The Valiant have to stay close to the payload during this overtime, and they need to push forward and win the fight against the Defiant here. That's not
You're waiting for
stating the obvious.
You're trying to get Transcendence if you're the Valiant.
Izayaki has it. Transcendence, great timing. Izayaki just got that ultimate online. Yakun tries to go for a sneaky charge from the backside now. Transcendence is necessitated from the side of the Defiant. Big old knockdown though. Transcendence, the tail end of the healing ult, was able to keep the Defiant up despite a three-man shatter from Fate. He goes forward. Fate so aggressive, goes down. Sound Barrier didn't keep him alive. And Akari pressing on. He'd be charged up as heck right now. And Agility's slightly caught out of position. He can't heal himself with a repair pack, but he doesn't need to. Kariv finds himself too. Now Roki will have to stall now, but it is just him against the Valiant and a lot of the crowd in this Blizzard Arena, I'm sure. A lot of trials on this map so far. Pitfalls were there, but the Valiant managed to finish the job.
Fate with some big Earth Shatters, man. Didn't get a ton with the Graviton Surges, but Fate with some big shatters. The follow-ups are there, and the Valiant able to complete the map.
Statement performance from the Valiant needs to be followed up. The Defiance now will go on the attack. Well, Envy so far has definitely been headlining in terms of grabs eaten, but it seems like, Matt, that Kariv may as well have been walking up with a shirt that says, I'm about to grab you, bro.
I mean, he had about, when he throws the grab out, there's like 30 seconds left. Where in Overwatch, 30 seconds is a very long time. I mean, you can contest the payload for a very long time. 30 seconds can turn into a minute and 40 if you play the overtime the right way. He didn't have to like kind of just charge in and use that grab.
Had a bit more time, perhaps.
Oh, a lot of time to set it up. He could have burned down the Rhine shield a little bit. A lot they could have done there.
I get it. I'm not known for my subtlety either, but the Valiant really needed that grab as a key ultimate on the last push. However, they finished the map. So you see they have 3 checkpoints and no time left in the bank. So essentially, Toronto need to finish the map with a bit of time left over, ideally more than a minute. That will set them in great stead here.
Fate has to be careful here.
Yakpung seems to be the one that's getting corralled for the most part. His shield is very low. So the Valiant would like to push their advantage here, but they've kind of allowed the Defiant to get into a comfortable pocket on this high ground. You see Roki and Envy able to go from low to high easily to not split them.
If Fate, though, jumps up and he gets discorded, a headshot, a stun from a Brigitte, they're going to take him out pretty quick. Doesn't have the static shield. You see, he just jumps to the high ground because he's discorded, needs to stay alive, trying to break some line of sight.
Okay, he drops down, but it's not a problem because the Defiant try and rotate to the high ground themselves. Going to be a bit of ticky-tacky here as both these teams try and get a better position. Fate, ooh, he lingered in the back line. He had a Primal Rage, but look at that. Already 300 HP taken off, but it's enough to get the heads turning in his direction, and Space uses that opportunity to go in and find 2.
Yeah, they're trying to like get a pick on the Fate, and it seemed like every time they were trying to like rotate around, bait him down a little bit. Fate played it perfectly though, and he's able to build up enough ult charge to get a Primal Rage. You see, they speed boost him right back to the spawn. They don't want to play that game again. The Winston just too risky against this Reinhardt.
Now that Fate knows that the Defiant are playing Reinhardt, he says, okay, well, I'll bring mine as well.
A little late,
yeah, he gets there though, and the Transcendence is going to help them. Oh, Fate dropped his shield, didn't want to waste it, then got charged. The timing wasn't quite there for Yakpung to set up the combo. But the Transcendence from the Defiant will propel them forward, and Space's mech is the casualty. A little bit split, Fate tries to return. Great appearance. He makes a cameo entry. entrance from stage left and throws up the shield. It keeps the Valiant ticking, at least for this fight. And now the Defiant have cycled through a lot of those impactful ultimates. Now they need to get it done the old-fashioned way. Kareev has a grab, space with the self-destruct. Yakpung, only one caught there, but with no Reinhardt shield, the Defiant have to respect the self-destruct. It still has a shield, he has his own. It's not enough to protect him from that blast.
And I think he did get bubbled by Ivy at the end, and maybe he thought he was going to be able to live, but not the case. So Fate now is built up in Earth Shatter. It's crazy how fast Reinhardts get their ults in this meta, right? I mean, you throw down a grab, you have a Shatter, you use it, you're back with another Shatter the next fight.
Yeah, if you watch Season 1 of the Overwatch League and then just saw a stats page from Season 2 for Reinhardt's, it wouldn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
However, Reinhardt now is much a damage dealer in his own right. Fate's shield is low. See the cracks appearing. Agility somehow gets out of that very compromising spot, but Fate perhaps underestimated the durability of Yakpung's shield. Charged into the wall, but the Transcendence was good. Will there be a barrier? No! There won't be! Envy breaks through with 2. And now the Valiant looking like they're on the last legs on this defensive hold. 3 minutes again shaved off. But that'll be it.
Yeah, and the self-destruct comes a little late. You know, Envy's kind of flying around when the grab goes down. Then he drops it, and they just push Fate over to the side where he's not able to get back to the team, shield him up. Really nice play there from the Defiant.
You see Fate, he's thinking very much about the durability of his shield, but it doesn't matter if it's full health, if he's knocked out of the way. Nice setup for the Defiant. There are more than one way to set up those self-destruct teamfight wins. And look at this, the switch, Envy to the Sombra.
Let's see what they try and do with this here. Maybe you think you can get a hack really early on. It'll be the grab, self-destruct combo. I mean, it probably would have been a good combo, but everybody was dead before the D.Va mech went off. So you'll have everybody here trying to back up for the Defiant. They do get Roki.
The Valiant probably aren't too upset about that one. You know, when you're desuited as D.Va, you don't get ult percent that counts towards your mech necessarily. It's just about resuiting. So I think Fate's probably happy enough to swing through and have the self-destruct just fizzle.
You do have a good opportunity to land a big EMP. We're quite a ways away from it with Envy at 28%. Looks like the Valiant going to engage here with Sound Barrier. Sound Barrier answered back. It's going to be a Graviton Surge. And you know, you use the grab in your own spawn. You know, look how many ultimates they have to invest to get out of their own spawn.
Again, and the Valiant are happy with this. Now, in all fairness, though, they do exchange some of those ultimates. So the Valiant are forcing ultimates. They're also using them themselves.
But Toronto may need to use more to even move the payload.
They'd hate to have to use EMP to break through here, but with Yakpung down, they might have to dig a little bit deeper, and they do. The EMP is required at this point, but it still may not be enough. 8 down to Kareev, space finding Ivy. The Valiant have 3 players still alive, and that includes 2 support. Space, oh sure, I'll step up and be the damage dealer. And the Defiant is so much. Izayaki being kept alive by Space, but only for a short time. Eventually, Roki comes over the top at 2.
But all of this has bought the Valiant so much time. They probably have another 2 fights at this. That you can use the Lucio speed boost, get in a position, maybe fight by the underpass here, you know, a little bit past it, and then get one more final attempt. But you know, forcing out some of those ultimates is, ooh, Envy gets a little weak, trying to poke for some damage up top. Gonna have to back up.
Here's that grab, 8 caught straight away, Transcendent. Self-destruct here, so Yakpung needs to keep that shield up. Nice little turn there. Stella was still charged out. So you saw Fate trying to set up the combo by removing his shield. He didn't get the big one, but he still got the kill.
I love just the aggression here from LA. You have the advantage. Use the Lucio speed boost to push on forward, gain some more ult charge, and it may not seem like a lot difference between, let's say, like 24 and 35, but that 35 jumps up to like 60 pretty quick. It's the difference in seconds in terms of getting the ults, which may end up saving them.
There's no real reason for Toronto to lose this next fight. They, for all intents and purposes, with 5 ultimates, should win, but we saw them invest so much in a prior fight and get little to no progress. And oh, he's playing a dangerous game! And Agility shuts him down. That was the EMP now off the table. The Toronto Defiant have to go anyway. So they start off with the Graviton Surge, but the Transcendence was there. And now the Valiant renewing their push forward. 6 seconds left. The Defiant aren't being let anywhere near this payload, and they got to push back. Yakpung connects with Fate on the charge in, and Kareev, he is charged and ready to go. Sound Barrier now expiring from the Valiant, but it's helped a lot in the early stages of this fight. Here's the grab. Self-destruct over the top here. The combo, not complete, but still Still forcing the Defiant
EMP
back.
coming up.
Overtime, Envy now finally getting to use that ult. He's saved. But look at this. Discipline from the Valiant. They take a big step back and say, no, we need to regroup and go again. The rally making sure they do that without anyone getting picked off. Fate close to an Earth Shatter, but that's about it for the Valiant. That's the EMP though. 3 players caught by that one, but Kariva Custer fight back. It's a 4v4 now with the Graviton Surge. Ziarski has got to have to go for the Transcendence. That is not enough to keep space up, even with the huge amount of healing it provides. Ivy was discorded, but then his own bubble will remove that damage booster from him, and he can chase down the dregs of the Valiant. It was indeed a staunch defense from Los Angeles, but eventually Toronto break through.
And the Valiant played that so well. At one point we saw, you know, when Envy dies that push previously, what they're trying to do is they're trying to bait out the support ultimates. So they actually bubbled Envy and he went in and he came out of stealth. And he was trying to maybe like think that they were going to use the EMP in the crowd of everybody, get a support ult out, and then just translocate away. The Valiant didn't fall for it, and he actually translocates away. They know exactly where he's going, and he's weak, and they're able to take him out. Just Shattered opening up the fight.
No one knocked down by that one.
Grab here from Kariv. Let's see if they can follow up.
Yeah, comfortable there for the Valiant. But the Toronto Defiant have bought themselves a little bit more time. So they do have another fight, perhaps one more after that. These support ultimates from Aiden Roki need to be leveraged very carefully.
I think they're going to try and just get aggressive here really quick because he knows Space does not have his mech right now. So you don't have the defense matrix. Just have the Diva Bunny Blaster. As Envy takes out agilities here off the break. So usually don't see a Sombra like being able to solo a Brigitte in the back, where 2 big kills there from Envy. That allows you to save some of these ultimates for the next fight. Like,
Toronto,
those 2 picks are huge.
Best case scenario for them. They need to finish the map too. So Los Angeles Valiant, again, they try and bluff a little bit with Space still in mini Diva form, as in she's not piloting a mech at that particular time. He has returned to the mech. And now the final fight begins in earnest. Ivy looks to step forward with that Graviton Surge. He does not want that to be eaten, and he sends it into the corner. That's a good way to prevent that from occurring. And Fate, he couldn't get the healing. Izayaki just maybe didn't have line of sight for him there. The Fire Strike was enough to finish him off, and Agilities is going to go down next. Ivy set up on the payload here, and hacked up is Kariv right now. We can't really get involved. He needs his barriers to keep his damage going up. Without them, he's going to hit you like a fish, and that's about it. Space self-destruct on the middle of the point. Stellar in the back. You see him forcing Kariv away, and finally, the Zarya falls. Fate pushes very far in, but he was going to be hacked by Envy either way. And Agilities has to get there. The Defiant, they've matched the Valiants. Both teams have been able to finish the map, but neither have any time left. Oh, it's a spicy one, which means, of course, ladies and gentlemen, that there is more of this map to come. Both teams will have a minute to get as far as they possibly can through Hollywood. It's going to be an exciting climax one way or another.
It starts with a surge of adrenaline. Signals flood the nervous system. Pupils race back and forth behind closed eyelids. Then open, awaken. Now it's up to you to decide what to do with it.
We'll call this one extra innings, ladies and gents. 1 minute apiece for both Toronto and Los Angeles to get as far as they possibly can through this map. They may be not even capturing point A. We've seen it. We've seen full map completions in overtime.
You mentioned, you know, that the stats looking crazy, right? I'm over here, you know, in between the break, looking at the damage. From the Valiant, you have 95,000 damage. Right. To 93,000 damage of the Defiant, with both Zarya players, Kariv and Ivy, both sitting above 25K themselves, which I have to get a check on, but I'm pretty sure that is like a very close to the most damage we've ever had.
In a map, right?
In a map.
And this map's not even done yet, so expect potential records to be broken there for Zarya enthusiasts. Defiant drop down, they want to take the fight early, and they isolate Agilities. Discord Orb, once again, very cleverly placed on the Brigitte to make it a much easier dispatch. But Izayaki deals with Ivy, who extended just a little bit too far. The Valiant, Down to only 4 players in this locale, and yeah, they just have to try and back out. The sooner they finish, the sooner they can return. The problem is, Matt, there's no pits or anything to jump down to sort of force a respawn for yourself. So you actually are at the mercy of the enemy team to when you are felled.
Yeah.
Brutal. 12 seconds left.
You lose Kareev and Custa so late is now they'll be able to get back into the fight. They're going to walk right into the shatter, though.
4 seconds left. Yakpung lining him up here, waiting for him to run down the wicket at them, and that'll be the Earth Shatter. It connects! 3 is Yaki Space Agility's all knocked to the ground. Custer, all he can do is desperately try and keep the ticker going. He might need a pacemaker for it at this stage. Space, desuited, drops onto the point, keeps the stall for a little bit longer. Kareev doesn't even seem interested in trying. He knows the Valiants have done their dash on the attack, and you've got to be happy with that if you're Toronto. Now, your win condition is clearly defined.
It's as good of a defense as you can have there. They come out with the shatter. They connect with 3, and that's really where I think the first push from the Valiant, like once you lost 1 or 2 players, you need to die really quick. The issue is Toronto knows that, so they just take their sweet time just finishing them off, right? You don't want to take out Custa right away. You don't want to take out Kareev. You want to let them linger for a bit. Just burn the clock.
A draw is not out of the question here on this map. If Toronto also failed to get 1/3 of the progress on capturing point A, neither team will be awarded a point. That would put Toronto Defiant still up 1-0. I'll just see if they come out with something different. Something spicy, or do they stick to their guns? So far, both teams have played very solid fundamentals. Very much what we expect to see right now, and what the sort of most viable strategies are. By that I mean 3 tanks, 3 supports.
This is about as close as of a game you can get. I mean, both teams, separated by one final blow, so actual kills to death. And then you have the damage on Toronto is only ahead by 500. They do have a slight advantage in terms of healing, but it's been extremely back and forth. The Valiant again with the Winston on D with only a minute to go. If Fate gets caught out here, this could be a map loss for them.
Discord all, a shield bash from Stella.
It's so risky, man.
Let's see if Fate plays any safer with that in mind. He's playing to the left here, and he's been spotted. So instead, the Defiant push to the point. Fate goes in. Oh, that's the problem. He gets caught out. It's traded at least. So both teams lose their main tanks. And to be fair, no Reinhardt shield available for Toronto. Definitely has to give them pause for thought. The 8, oh, nice use of defense matrix, but it's not enough. 8 is picked off. Now you're going to see the Valiant push. Before, it was probably too risky to try and go for an all-out brawl with only 1 player down on the enemy team. 2, though, LA feeling confident, and Toronto are in the same position they were. Except the Valiant don't have an Earth Shadow to stop the Toronto Defiant in their tracks. We'll see if that makes a difference. One last push for Toronto.
Stellar closest to his ultimate with Rally. They're going to have to get a touch. They're going to work their way onto the point with the Reinhardt.
Shielded Fate, drops in with a bubble. Stellar Yakpung looking pretty average in the back corner there. He couldn't go anywhere. Discord or placement. The focus fire from the Valiant. Again, about as good as you could hope for. Self-destruct claims aid. There'll be no one really else left from the Defiant after the fallout here. Izayaki, headshot after headshot. Finish on Roki. And Hollywood results in a draw. That first map in hand, Toronto still lead the series, but the Valiant push back and avert a potential 0-2 scenario for them. A lot of legwork still to be done, but that's all going to be happening on the other side of these messages.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. High ground or low ground, T-Mobile has you covered.
Envy doing their best to keep the Valiant winless. Currently, it's the Defiant up 1-0 at the half. Ladies and gentlemen in the Blizzard Arena, are you guys still with me? Make some noise because we got an awesome match on our hands once again, featuring the hometown LA Valiant, Wings Out, and of course the Toronto Defiant. This is my Wings Out while still holding the microphone close.
Beautiful.
Thank you. We got Zoe, we got Bren, you know him, you love him. And we also have a rivalry here that you touched on in the Watchpoint pre-show. So you said that we have to talk about Envy versus Space in this one, both former Valiant divas.
Yeah, actually, just one of them is a former Valiant diva. Space, I think they're not firing him quite yet, but we'll see after this match is over. Envy did incredible well on the first map. His stats actually outplayed Space in every single metric. However, on the second map, we actually saw Space catching back up, so much so that Envy eventually actually switched back to Zombra. So, yeah, the stats are a little bit skewed for the second half, but on Ilias, Envy actually did incredible well. He also managed to eat some of the grass from the opponent's team, so well played, Envy.
Doing that job as the diva. Get rid of that Zarya ultimate. But Bren, when we got to Hollywood, it was all about the Zarya play.
Oh, yeah.
And we highlighted a guy that used to play support, Kareev, has been running the Zarya and doing all kinds of damage.
Yeah, mega talented player, Kareev. This guy is absolutely insane, honestly. The fact that he's managed to flex over to so many different roles, he's putting up unreal numbers alongside Ivy. Realistically, I think going forward, you guys need to keep an eye on the Zaryas as well a lot more, because these guys have been putting up almost record-breaking numbers across the board in terms of their damage, and they are very intelligent when it comes to a lot of the ways they use and play Zarya as a whole. Kareev is a little bit more, you know, he just kind of throws out the bubbles. It seems a lot more prioritized as getting that high energy to try and pump out as much damage as possible, whereas Ivy, you can see, he's got a little bit lower average energy, but that's partly because he's a little bit smarter in the way he's using his bubbles, saving them for Yakpun a lot more often. There you go. Thank
What
you,
is this
Puckett.
number, Bren?
It's a big number, Puckett. It's 27,000. That's a huge number. We got our mathematicians in the back. They've been counting it all match long. They found that it might be record-breaking. I'm not too sure. You know, you tell me, Puckett. What do you think of it?
I just got word from our producer, and shout out to Captain Planet, our numbers wizard in the back. He said for a single map, these two players are currently #1 and #2 for damage dealt. So can we give it up for the Zaryas? Insane stuff here on Hollywood. Incredible stuff as a Zarya main. I love to see it. But let's talk about the remainder of this match, because that's just 2 games down. We know we have 2 more to go. And with that draw, there's no way we go to a game 5. So let's talk predictions here, Zoe. How do you see the second half playing out?
This one is really hard to predict. I don't think that either of the players, or rather teams, have been playing particularly clean. I do think there are a lot of small mistakes from both sides, so both need to play a lot cleaner. I'm very impressed with Defiant being able to have so much cohesion, considering that they've been mashed together with so many different players, whereas on the other side we have a team which basically consists of people who have been playing throughout the entirety of last season together, so I didn't think that they're going to stack up so well, and I actually think they're going to go with Defiant.
She's going Toronto Defiant! It's happening!
Don't hate me.
There was like 0 fans in here who got excited for that.
Yeah, it's fine.
We are in Los Angeles. Bren, are you going to make the people happy?
I'm going to make the people happy. I think LA Valiant are going to be able to take this one back.
That's what we expected. Blizzard Arena is happy. I'm happy. We're going to the second half. Don't go anywhere. More Overwatch League when we return.
They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
had a lot of close matches in the Overwatch League so far, but this one, numerically and also as far as the eye test is concerned, has been pretty much locked up. Now, the only way this series goes to a map 5 after drawing the second is if the third is also drawn. Given how close these two are, it is possible. However, if it's not drawn and the Defiant win this next map, they will be able to take the series regardless of what happens in the fourth. So keep that one in mind.
And like Bren mentioned during halftime, the Zarya play from Kariv from the Los Angeles Valiant and Ivy from the Toronto Defiant has been unreal. I mean, right there on Hollywood, to just kind of give you guys some perspective, coming into last week, I had asked, Ben, our stats guy, I was like, who's #1 and #2 all time in hero damage dealt in a single map? And EQO actually had the #1 and #2 spots. The #1, #2 spot, actually both the guys we just saw on that map. So Kariv's #1, Ivy #2. Somebody's going to have to drop like 30k damage in a map to pass Kariv, which is absolutely, I don't know if we'll see that happen in a long time.
In all fairness, chronologically speaking, that was one of the longer maps that you will see. We had both teams that used up all their time organically on the attack, and then we had some overtime. Could have gone longer, in all fairness.
I would have loved to see it go longer.
Yeah, I would have been fine with it. We were just trying to break.
Had those stats.
But the reality is now, more healing in the game means more damage can be done without it actually resulting in like a one-team fight or anything like that. So
you also had like almost 60k healing per team as well.
Yeah, all the numbers were sky high. That's the way the game has changed thus far. Let's head to Horizon though. Let's take a scenic cruise.
Yeah, let's go over there.
Yeah, I'm all about that. This map will probably give us a couple other potential scenarios here. So neither of these teams have demonstrated a proclivity to play damage dealer heavy compositions. Now, don't get ahead of yourself, ladies and gentlemen.
We're not going back to
Hollywood. Still in spawn. I'm going to jump in now. Toronto on the defense. So their lineup is all but locked in. So this shouldn't surprise you at all. However, the Valiant might give us something a little bit spicy here. Custer's still in the lineup, mind you, so no sub out. He is still alive. Now, I see that guy on Twitter who said he'd get a tattoo of Custer stayed in for 4 maps. You better think of some designs, my dude.
Somebody said that.
Yeah, look, Australians like to make ridiculous bets. Also, that's where the Shui came from, so you can kind of see why.
All right, so we have the Valiant running Reaper. So this is something we saw in our previous match with the Spark in the London Spitfire. The issue that they had in their match is the Reaper didn't work. Your Zarya player is the one who is playing the Reaper. You have a Zarya out on the field. Usually your Reaper player cannot play Diva.
That's nasty. Look at that. Perfect push there. Great move. The Valiant actually somehow able to regroup with Kariv. I am darkness. I am the shadow. I am standing on the point and waiting for them to come to me now. Can't quite get close enough with the Reaper. Sitting in the corner, but he's been spotted out. Look at him just getting donked by orbs coming in from aid.
I do feel like this is a better way to play Reaper than what we saw previously, though. You put him on the point, you force the Defiant to come into the Reaper. As you're getting very close with the Valiant to taking this. It's going to force the Toronto Defiant to get on the point, and this is where Reaper can start doing tons of damage.
But you can see the weakness of the Winston-based 3-3 comp against what a right hard can put out until Yakun walks into the back corner. Destroys Custer, all supports are down for the Valiant, but Kariv and Space, Fate were all standing. Close fight. I don't think Roki can do too much about it. I'd love to see a top down of that one, sort of slowed down. The fight looked like it could go against the Valiant, but the first picks were so important, Matt. Getting rid of Stella, great start.
Yeah, I mean, you had Kariv and Space both putting down, above 20% of the overall team damage during that one. Actually, they almost come, they're more than 50% of team damage there in that first fight. So you can see that the Zarya putting down the damage, the Reaper that time paying off for the offensive team. As you're able to get Reaper on the point, force the Winston down, start to chunk him down. Other players have to play a little bit out of position to try and save him. That's where you can make an impact.
Oh, wow. They try and make the superhero entrance, the Valiant coming down from the high ground. They walk into a graviton surge here. Agility's trying to keep them up and standing. They're not so far away that the self-destruct actually doesn't really find anyone. Yakpug again, he wants to ride the lightning. He wants to go deep. Space will punish him for pushing that far, but the Valiant are actually positioned so far away from the point after the fight, they have to regroup anyway. Kariv, he is the edge, he is the knight, he's getting the heck out of there.
They back out here when the rally comes through. So, okay, they're going to solo grab here. They're going to get Stellar.
Yeah, that was Space sort of coming up with that decision on the fly. Just an opportunistic grab. It didn't work out. Yakpung is low, though, and the Valley want to keep committing now. Transcendence coming out to answer the Death Blossom, so Kariv is just sort of trying to do his breakdance routine, and no one really seems bothered by it. Kariv stunned up. The worst thing that can happen to a Reaper when he's trying to do damage, and I think that'll precipitate a switch for him. if this fight ends in favor of the Defiant. So far, it's a good start. 6v5, A chilling on the backside, and that's going to be the transcendence here from over the top. The damage is forthcoming.
So now we'll get to see Kareem play Diva. Nope, we're gonna go over to Roadhog here. So this is kind of the issue that you get though is Izzyaki staying alive here, not intending to stay alive, finally falls. But I know. Okay, so Kareem actually switches over to Zarya now. Space will switch over to Diva. You give up some ult charge there, but you're kind of playing the long game if you're the Valiant. Izzyaki will switch now and go over to Xin. So mirror comes on both sides. Because of the late switches here with some of the players from the Valiant, you're probably looking at 1 or 2 pushes where Toronto is going to use some ultimates, Valiant just kind of die really quick, and then the fights will start to come.
Ooh. Fight pushes up. That was a very efficient fire strike from Yakpung there. He's ready to shatter as well. The Valiant are noticed as they rotate across here. There's enough sort of plexiglass for the Defiant to see their positioning.
If the Valiant can trade their shatter though for, let's say, like Shatter Rally, Shatter Trance, like 1 or 2 ultimates, then they disengage, they come back. You can start to swing the ultimate economy in your favor. That's when you have a good opportunity to close out this first part of the map.
So Fate was trying to bait a big commitment on him at that time. That's the rally, that's the shatter. So we get the baiting out here. The Valiant still dropping his fight, but again, yes, they go down. They're going to give some ult % over. But Ivy was getting most of those kills. He already had his grab, so it's not like they're feeding a ton of ultimate advantage across. Still, they probably would have wanted to be able to get out alive.
Space gets demech'd here, so we'll see if he decides to go back to the spawn. Switch, yep, now he'll go back to Diva, as you did have the Valiant get a tick.
Yeah, you got a tick.
Previously, early on in the push where we saw the nano boost and the Reaper come out. So
you have a net positive ult exchange there as well for the Valiant. Defiant looking just fundamentally very solid. Very, very solid. Hard to find a mistake here. Yakpung as well. Look at him stay alive. Oh my god, Yakpung did so well to stay up there. Self-destruct over the top. That's 2 for Envy.
Great charge.
Yep. Envy sets him up. Yakpung knocks him down. And he gets all the glory on the kill feed, of course. I'm sure Diva players love that.
You're actually, though, close to what the Valiant wanted. I mean, look, we were talking before. Toronto had like all 6 ultimates. How do you dwindle some of this down? Now when you start to look, you have Sound Barrier, you have Rally, you're going to get very close to grab here. This is a fight where you can see the Valiant take a little bit more seriously, one that they have a realistic chance of winning and trying to take point B.
So let's see what that looks like. Let's see what that bigger commitment, how that manifests here in the way that they move and approach the fight. So again, they drop off the high ground. They're trying to outmaneuver and quickly change sides, but the Defiant have seen through this pretty much every single time. And they are pushing Yakpung back. He tries to stifle some of this aggression with an Earth Shatter, but doesn't find any connection there. His shield is broken. Yakpung wants to be aggressive, but he's not close enough to get damage from that, so he has to hide. Fate, however, has a shield, a Zarya bubble, and then his own shield. So we can cycle between the two of them, and there's a Sound Barrier. This is what a real commitment looks like from the Los Angeles Valiant. No, they're not on one knee with a ring. They're using all the support ultimates. Izzyaki has a chance to use that Transcendence if required. He wants to hold it just in case, save it for the next round. Pops it at the end, and the Valiant get over the line. Happy with that one. Slowed down greatly. The Defiant are very good at levying high fines and tolls for Valiant's progress so far. We'll see if the Defiant can match that speed. Run us through those final moments there of the attack for the Valiant, Matt. They get the round done with a bit of time to spare, just not a whole lot.
You know, they played the ultimate economy game perfectly there towards the end. It was a lot of what we were talking about. You know, they went in for those first 2 pushes. They knew they didn't have any ultimates. They got some ultimates out from Toronto. I mean, best case would have been like if Fate uses that Shatter at the end and then Roki invests Sound Barrier. That would have been really good for the Valiant. But they end up working down the ultimates in their favor. And you know, it was something that Wolf mentioned on the pre-game show, like, oh, maybe like, you know, there was a decision with the supports, like who can track ultimates in this meta better. You saw right there from the Valiant, that was great. They knew exactly what Toronto had.
But don't forget, we did see Custer and Izzyaki ult over the top of each other prior in this series, so it's not a perfect
Not all great.
But we want to highlight the good things, as well as, you know,
it's about positivity.
Be realistic. Just like my parents were when they told me that I couldn't be a spaceman. Oh,
but you still tried.
Yeah.
And you failed, but it's okay.
Yeah, that still hurts. Fate on the low ground here, bubble up. All right, so Yakpong's just staying in that gap to make sure everyone gets across safely. He's not worried too much about Envy getting there. He's got boosters in the defense matrix. Oh, that's not ideal. Fate knocked down. He can jump up pretty quickly, but there is a cooldown on the rocket jump. He gets there anyway. Agility's so low. Roki! Damn, he just went straight in on quite the mission now. He gets punished for that aggression, but we like a little bit of spicy aggro Lucio play. He almost found a pick.
He's watching too many Neptuno VODs.
Oh dear, aid there. Space this time again. Attacking sort of perpendicular to the rest of the Valiant, not always being at the front. I mean, he's a Winston. He's not a Reinhardt. He can't just stand there with a shield, but you see what he did there? He found his opportunity, and he took down the Zenyatta. Much in the same way that Space tried to get that one-man grab.
Yeah, are we about to witness the patented outside push into the Primal Rage? I feel like we've seen so many teams do this.
Yeah, I mean, and there's nothing you can do. You can't slow yourself down like that mid-air. Okay, they're going to try it.
Go outside.
Fate's like, do I get some of that B-roll? No, they're pushing up the stairs. Okay, rally, both sides. Valiant with the second rally there. Reinhardt charge, Yakpong so low down the stairs. He catches Fate and he stayed alive. Fate quickly Primal Rage though. Both tanks lucky to be alive. And that one there, that self-destruct, that's just a wet blanket being thrown on the fight for a bit of a reset. Both teams get to breathe. And drop in did Fate. Didn't get anything done there. Earthshatter comes out. No one really hit by that one at all. Izzyaki now with the Transcendence. So the Valiant feel pretty good about this if they can stay together in the chaos of the fight. Graviton Surge, self-destruct. Yakpong again still alive. I don't know how he's done it, but with Space and Fate missing, the Defiant finally managed to gouge out some results. It's like getting blood from a stone, but they get there either way.
You know, in these close quarter brawly fights, this is where the Valiant miss the damage that Reinhardt provides. Just being able to swing in those close quarters, just a lot more damage than Winston. And that's really kind of the difference when you have these crazy fights, grabs from either side.
So it's almost like Fate forgot that he was not playing the protracted fight main tank. He was playing the get in, get out. Okay.
But when you're taking the fight in those close quarters, you have to brawl. There's no option. You can't run away.
Well, Fate is no coward. We know that. It's a matter of record by now. Very quick push here. The Defiant want to start this one off as quickly as they can. They're cognizant of the sort of time bank difference that exists right now. But a sound barrier comes out from the Valiant. They do not want to move an inch. Agilities, shields up. Fate also has his. So the Valiant able to escape that one, but they are split for the time being. They're going to try and reconverge around Fate, who's a little bit low. Ivy really trying to force the issue now with the Graviton Surge. Izzyaki relieved that he had the Transcendence in time for that one. No casualties yet in this fight. Yakpong Earthshatter, he had a Kareem knocked down, but a grab straight away to make sure he couldn't follow up. Custard takes a hammer swing and has to back away for just a moment, but there's the picks. And that's what the Valiant really needed to give themselves a little bit of space. Man, we see so many of these ultimates commit, these fights where like there's 10 ultimates thrown in and no kills.
Well, I mean, there's just a ton of healing. And then when you have two really strong defensive ultimates with Lucio's Sound Barrier and then Zenyatta's Transcendence. Rally also provides armor, for a period of time, also very strong. And then you just have the HP pool of these tanks. It's so difficult to just chunk them down.
Again, the Defiant know they're ahead on time still and want to start these fights off quickly as long as they can sort of do it properly and not get anyone picked off in their own rush. The Valiant respect this to back it up. You can see just the cogs turning in both these teams' brains as they try and get pole position on one another. Here's a push across the point, but a quick bubble given to Fate. That got burst very fast, but it'll mean Kareem's putting out a lot of damage right now. Space is looking to sit back and try and eat something, set up this combo now, but everyone's behind the pole. The self-destruct, oh, it's perfect! They got knocked out of the way! That is what you need to see, especially if the enemy team are gravitoned in a less than ideal location, Matt.
It's the curse. You're like, oh, nothing's going to happen. They're all behind the pole. And then as you say it, they just all come flying.
Big boop.
Around the one side as the boop knocks everybody into the self-destruct. And there's something with Toronto that's quite interesting. Now, I thought maybe in the previous push, they just kind of walk up to Fate and get really aggressive on him because they want to try and force Kariv's bubble out early and then back up a little bit. They do the same thing last time, and then they back up. I wonder what's the idea. So they use their bubble early to get out. You see Kariv uses his right away. Now you can play a little bit passively here if you're Toronto. Let's see if they engage really hard into Fate.
Graviton surge from Ivy, but he's not very charged up. It won't matter. There's a Transcendence anyway. What's the setup like? The charge was there from Yakpum. They tried to get Valley for the self-destruct, but it just wasn't going to be happening. Fate tries to charge 8 out of the way so the rest of his team can work down the Toronto Defiant players. Space's mech will be removed, but it's just a parting gift as the Defiant have to back off, at least for the time being, and risk walking into a grab from Kareem. There it is! He lays it down, and it'll be an easy clean.
And they end up using Rally, even though they know they have the Graviton Surge coming. I wonder if Toronto maybe tried to bait that out. Where, like, you had only 4 players there. Maybe they thought that they were going to come back the Valiant after they use Rally, because why use Rally just to kind of die? But if you get them to use Grab, you feel pretty good about kind of burning through that Rally. As now Ivy will have an advantage here in terms of getting to this Graviton Surge. You're going to have both Transcendence and Sound Barrier here. So now, like how the Valiant kind of turned the tides in terms of ultimate economy in their favor, Toronto has a little bit of a lead coming to this next fight.
Window here where the Defiant don't have those support ults and the Valiant have Transcendence, so they need to do something with it. The Earth Shatter,
nothing.
From Fate, trying to force the issue there. Yakpung is the only ultimate right now for the Defiant, but they're about to switch on. You see those numbers, 98, 99. The Defiant now have all the tools that they need, but they've just fallen behind the Valiant in time bank. So even if they finish right now, they won't be in the lead. And Izayaki, oh, you know his trigger finger's itchy, but it's too slow! Fate gets taken down by Ivy. He tries to get there.
Yeah, and they use the Graviton Surge here towards the end of the Transcendence, trying to pick up some kills. Kareem gets his Graviton Surge, throws it down. All the support ultimates here used for Toronto.
Boop there from Custer definitely disperses the Defiant across the point, but there's not enough resistance currently from the Valiant to actually punish that one. Fate charges headlong into Yakpung. It's a mutual knockdown. But the Defiant maintains able to stay standing at the end of it. Now we're into stall mode. Kareev bringing out the hamster dance. Drops it straight on down. Roki to half. That's 1-2. Izayaki tries to stall, but he's cut through very quickly. With both teams finishing the map, again, I remind you, the potential for a draw is definitely there. We'll have to see, though, if that will be the case or if one of these two teams will be able to cut through the mix. Guys, hang around. This has been quite the match. See you in a moment. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Tense situation here. The Valiant are trying to stay alive in this series. If they lose this map, they cannot take a series win here. But we've had one playthrough for both sides on the attack of Horizon. Both have completed the map. 45 seconds separate these rosters, Matt.
But both of these teams with a really good understanding of how to force, the ultimate advantage in their favor, what they need to invest on their side and what they need to see the other team react to invest to get the advantage. We'll see now Toronto with only a minute to attack. If you're going to run Moira, you probably just want to fight on the point. Use her just raw healing output. Just kind of put you over the edge.
Which means that the Defiant probably don't want to take a fight out in the open for too long, but Fate is kind of trying to force that issue, saying, I know you're playing Reinhardt right now. Remember what happened last time? Fate hung around and the Reinhardt damage managed to take over, but look at the damage. Envy's so low. Aid as well, down to half.
Yeah, and look at his ult charge. He's going to have primal range.
Right now, perfect timing as well. This could get nasty. If you're squeamish, look away. Yakpung missing. Kareem traded out and Fate still trying to look to get more value out of the primal range with the coalescence. Very timely from Aid. It won't be enough, though, to keep Ivy up. Aid still requires line of sight like all other support ultimates. But Toronto have the players on the point. They get that first tick. That could be very important. Keep an eye on that progress now. The Valiant have to push in. Even without all their numbers, they need to make the difference now. They take their time, they regroup, they push in, they force the Defiant away, and Toronto are now going to reset themselves.
And they back off the point for a second as Envy gets a touch because you do have players coming back here. for Toronto. You're going to have a self-destruct as well.
Everyone's back. Both teams have 6 players now returning from spawn. Self-destructs go across the point. Who's is better? Envy comes out on top in that one in a big way. Spicy and Agilities are both down. Stella's more than happy to get up in the face of the Valiant with that Zarya projected bubble. And Aid will continue to dish healing from the backline. Kareem caught in the grab. Custom now. He and Fate have to do it. And they go in alone. Izayaki's caught back in the corner off screen. He's just trying to give the healing. He gets Roki as an exit kill, but unfortunately, he probably won't have another opportunity to come back and continue fighting. Aid with the coalescence now. He's not going to need it. And the Defiant take point A. That's huge when it comes down to these tiebreakers, Matt.
And that's where having the Moira is huge. Just able to provide so much healing on the point there. Aid with another coalescence. And now if you're Toronto, I mean, if you get point B, great. If not, I mean, you're still looking good to win the map.
Bloody go time here for the Defiant. Slow but steady. They know they have time. They just need to stay on the point. Coalescence out from the point. That helps take down Agilities. No shield can protect you from the damage that Aid is dealing right now. And healing at the same time to his teammates. Multi-purpose. Kareem takes himself down with his own right click. And it's a disaster for the Valiant. They were trying to hold on. They had the numbers. But the Defiant managed to accrue enough ultimate abilities in the previous winning fight to run over the top. Izayaki has to commit the Transcendence now in space. Yell be healthy for the time being, but Izayaki eventually has to come out of the Iris, and he does in the worst way possible. The Defiant, what an attacking rush! And that may have sealed the deal, Matt.
And it's so hard to lose Agilities at the beginning of that fight, because when the Coalescence is coming down, it goes through the shield of Reinhardt, so Fate's taking damage, and you don't have any burst heal outside of his repair pack to heal anybody up. So when you lose him, you lose all sorts of burst heal. You don't have anything else to really keep Fate alive. You start losing players one by one. It's a replay of how Fate ended up, Kareem ended up taking himself out towards the end.
Yeah, so, I mean, this happens. He gets hit, tries to right-click Yakpong, but there is splash damage from his right-clicks. Zarya's often used that ability to give them bigger jumps. You can obviously right-click the ground and it propels you up a little bit, but it does damage.
There's nothing really, I mean, Kareem could obviously either use the primary fire, but in that situation with the game moving that fast, there's nothing you could...
I mean, you saw the sound barrier. Kareem had that extra overshield provided by Custer, but the Defiant waited it out just long enough. And this could be, as far as cheese is concerned, the creme de la creme. Have a look at this.
So Bastion, as immobile as it gets, but at range against Reaper, if they're gonna run Reaper, right, can just shred through. You don't have a Diva with Defense Matrix to get it in his face. If this is what happens, it could end up forcing, let's say if the Valiant come out and they say lose first fight, do you have to now switch off of Space and Kareem, flop those 2 players, and sort some things out? So Agilities is probably scouting here.
He has to, yeah. He'll go forward on the Sombra, and the Valiant don't really change tact too much. Now the thing is, again, if the Valiant get too close to Ivy, their faces are going to get melted faster than an Angus Young guitar solo.
They're going back to change now.
Kareem? Oh, it's fine. He's fine. Okay. Yes, people like damage dealers. Kareem on the Hanzo. It's time! And it better be good. The Valiant only already have one shot at this match, especially with the time they spent switching up.
Look, I mean, a hack onto somebody like Space or Fate, and they end up dropping, and you're looking at the map pretty much. I mean, you do not have a ton of time to really poke and prod here.
I mean, Fate is... He goes on the endangered species list instantly. Any tanks, Ivy just melding them away. Roki speed boosting, of course, that Bastion. Hold to keep Fate in place. Dangerous for the main tank of the Valiant.
And he got hacked. Nothing he can do. Can't get out of that situation.
Scant seconds remain. 33 of them to be exact. The Los Angeles Valiant require their ducks to be in a row before they can make what I would consider to be a rather complicated push. Agility's careful. He's low. Ivy with a bit of self-heal, and it's time for tank mode configuration. Ivy has that.
And they're playing the Sombra to the right here of Ivy, so if anyone tries to dive him, they're just going to get hacked from behind.
Last chance to loon the series. Hacked to the balance. Yakpum goes down. Kareem finds it, but Mercy resurrects people. That's right. She brings them back to life. 6v6 now, and Ivy's trying to find some burst damage here with the tank mode configuration. Space was able to deal with Stella. He got desuited and still was able to find it, but now Ivy sets up in the back corner. Agilities needs the barrage. He gets it. It's a trade. Aid finds him, and now the Transcendence is on the point. The Defiant have the players to work with here, but there's so much damage. Izayaki, the savior for the Valiant. He's sitting in the corner. No one noticing him as he continues to put out huge numbers in damage, and the Valiant managed to break down the difficult composition thrown in front of them by the Defiant. They got rid of the Bastion. Stellar will just tickle here, but it's unlikely he does anything to stop them. Oh, it's game on.
I was wondering if you stay off the Bastion here. 4.2. You have the Valiant with 20 seconds left. They're going to go with the Winston version of the 3-3. Stellar with this EMP.
Here's the issue, man. The Valiant cannot draw this map.
And they have no support ults here, too. I mean, do you think they're going to walk into like an EMP self-destruct and just get crushed?
I mean, there's very little the Valiant can do. They cannot draw this map. If they draw this map, they don't have enough maps really left to the series to push it all the way. They can take it to map 5 if they do that, but yeah, they walk in and they just get run over the top of. Getting it done on overtime is an option for them. That's their only one right now. But look at the hack on towards Fade. He tries to push across. Custer steps up. Toronto just had all the right answers here. Custer will get cut down to size. He's hacked from behind. He can't even give that healing that is needed. Look in the corner. Kareev is waiting, but he's too late. Too little. And the Toronto Defiant will take map number 3. This means the Valiant cannot win this series. We have one more map because differential is important. But the Valiant continue winless.
Yeah, Toronto just looks like a very strong team. Underdogs coming in here in this match and in this season, but just a well-coached group here, you know, led by Bishop, right? You know, formerly London Spitfire. He puts this team together. They have a ton of talent. They're playing the game the right way now.
One more map to come. A bonus, if you will. See you in just a moment.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
There was a chance, a glimmer, for the Valiant to make this still a tied-up series, but to do so, they had to tie Horizon Lunar Colony. At the point where we were in overtime, it was actually possible for them to win because the teams wouldn't have had any extra time. Unfortunately, they did neither of those things, and they were stopped by the Defiant. Fortunately for the local fans, of course. The Defiant, though, looks so good. You talked about it before, Matt. You said they were solidly coached. They were really well drilled in their fundamentals. And that work behind the scenes really showing today with their discipline.
And I also think they come in, and though I think the general public doesn't really have like a ton of expectations.
Well, so, they don't have a lot of information either.
Yeah, no, they don't have a lot of information, not a lot of expectations. So I think, you know, Toronto, they've kind of like, you know, stayed in their own little bubble, built their own nice little nucleus here, and they've come in. And like, I don't know if we can keep saying like they're upsetting teams anymore, right? I think like now, you know, this Valiant team has had close games than YXL. In the Spark, clearly, you know, they can't just get over the hump and win some of these games. But I think Toronto's been great today, man.
We've seen this form from the Valiant before. You know, the inability to quite, you know, finish off victories. At least this one won't be a map 5 loss for them, I suppose. The Defiant, though, I mean, you can't say that Ivy hasn't been a huge part of this. Envy as well. Fantastic D.Va play.
I do think for the Valiant, like, you can't just keep, like, moving between Custa and Kuki. You got to make, like, a decision. I think it's probably... Yeah, you don't know how long they were practicing with Kuki or whatnot as Stellar gets first pick here on D, but you don't know how long they've been practicing with either. I'm sure a lot of the guys on stage probably are pretty comfortable with Cust in the lineup because that's been the majority of their experience. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do moving forward. I think it's a role in main support, like main support and main tank. You can't really mess around with putting different people in all the time. You gotta have those two positions rock solid.
And without that consistency, it's difficult to achieve or to mirror that in your performances or on the scoreboard. Payload inching ever so closely, slowly forward. Fate caught out. Nice little shield bash there. Can't complain about that one from Stellar. Also goes for the rally just to give themselves durability. They don't want to get anyone picked off. Basically, if the Defiant lose a play here, they have to go way back and defend. But if they keep just getting one pick, one kill at a time, they can hang around.
I mean, you have the grab here from Ivy. He's so far ahead of Kareev. You even think about maybe investing grab here and just bank on him getting another one.
Yeah, bank on lapping him, right?
He's been phenomenal. You lose Roki, so that's all your disengage. You may as well commit.
Okay, and they do. Graviton Surge, self-destruct. Kareev was on the wrong side of Fate's shield. Not much you can do about that one. Aid now with the Transcendence, and the Defiant would like to, you know, fight on the retreat, but they can't get Stellar out. They cannot get that tactical extraction, and Envy realizes his mech is done for. He'll be heading for the edge, jumping over to the water, having a swim, and respawning.
He's able to contest for so long, though, so...
Are you happy with this? Like, are you happy with the Defiant setup on defense here?
Yeah, I mean, now they'll come back into the next fight. They know they're walking into a Graviton Surge, pretty much. They're gonna have Sound Barrier, and you have potentially like a counter Shatter here, with Yakpung having the Shatter, so... And Ivy, look how close he is to another grab already. I mean, 78%. Kareev, he's still working towards his first.
Oh, that bubble, very timely for Yakpung there. Almost got burst out before he had a chance to use that one, but Stellar picked off once more. Last time was Roki, this time Stellar. There is a Sound Barrier though for the Defiant, so they can pat themselves out a little bit more. The Transcendence, though, will do the same on the Valiant side. A later Transcendence here, though, for the Defiant. I'll be pretty happy with that one, but they can't save Ivy from the burst damage to the self-destruct with that ultimate. And the Valiant, all green on the kill field, they're going to push forward.
And Toronto had the type of scenario they wanted, just not able to come out on top. Self-destruct from Space picks up one, but you lose your Brig a little bit earlier in the fight. Don't have that rally. Should have provided you a little bit extra sustain. Probably, I don't think it would have made the absolute difference in the fight.
It's over time, but the thing is like, the way teams trade damage, you know, in these compositions, is not usually huge amounts of burst damage.
Yeah, and I mean,
so they don't need burst healing.
Using Rally probably would have just extended the fight a little bit longer. The Valiant used another ult, and then we're still in the same spot, so.
Well, speaking of which, it's a rally now from the Defiant. But they use it to give themselves a little bit more space. Over the top is coming a self-destruct. Very cheeky placement from Envy. Doesn't achieve much, though. That Earth Shadow knocking both Ivy and Roki to the ground. And they're getting completely bowled over. The Valiant look renewed now in their push, at least to get themselves a map here.
How many teams have we seen? You know, I think the Spark, in these last final games, like, just turn it on, right?
Yeah.
They end up winning the final map, and it's like, for the Valiant, like, of course you want to stay in it with, you know, keeping up in terms of maps and map win percentage and whatnot, but like to move to 0-3 now is pretty crushing.
Yeah,
Them and the Washington Justice both sitting at 0-3.
Even with a good differential, your differential doesn't matter unless you have a comparable map win-loss, a series win-loss rate, right? Stellar this time on the Reaper, ducks out of the Graviton briefly before opting to go back inside of it, because that's what the healing was. Again, Space's self-destruct denies him the chance to hang around. Burst healing, doesn't do anything. Yakpung there shielded up on the point as Yaki wants to press forward the rest. So Stellar will be here if the Defiant can hang on a little bit longer. So they're trying to do, but Izzyaki says push forward, I have the healing. Even the Earthshatter of Yakpung couldn't save them, and now Aid and Envy pushed over.
Interesting to see Envy on Ana. You know, traditionally an off tank. Playing a support here is like this meta more than any has made players really just kind of expand their hero pool in a way that a lot of people didn't expect. I mean, we see like DPS players play in actual main supports and stuff sometimes.
So explain this to me. Does Envy just not want to pay Brigitte, or do they want an Ana specifically for something here?
So he was actually up on the high ground. I actually thought he was in a really nice position to land like a biotic grenade behind the Valiant. Could have denied a lot of healing from the Transcendence, because Fate can't really block it with his shield. They'll use the nano boost here. Fate falls. They keep Yakpung up.
I mean, the nano boost is great to have, right? It boosts your durability, gives you burst heal on application. Just makes you a scarier target, and for a Reinhardt allows you to farm up that Earthshatter a bit faster. But the Los Angeles Valiant dominant here. 21 kills to 7, now 8 on the side of the Defiant. So the Valiant definitely a long way ahead. Their offense has been very solid. On the high ground, Roki and Yakpung want to speed on out of there now. That fire strike was wishful coming out from Fate, but Custom might throw them back into the mix.
He almost categorized Reaper now in like almost like the cheese strat kind of category. Like it either works or you just kind of get rolled with it as Custa goes back to the spawn. He's gonna get Kariv in place as he has the Graviton Surge. Grab self-destruct combo here. Really nice open space for the Valiant to land one.
The Defiant obviously don't have that option available to them. They do not have a self-destruct combo with the grab. It has to be something else. Transcendence for the Valiant. Now they use it to gain position, to get up in the grills of the Defiant. Space's self-destruct will be blocked by Yakpung. He wants to try and push forward Fate and attempt to dissuade him from doing so. It's an Earthshatter. But with the Transcendence is just finishing off in that fight, the Defiant isn't actually crippled by that Reinhardt ultimate. Now they have a sound barrier to use here, interestingly enough, and Fate is a little bit further forward than the rest of his team. He charges forward and is removed.
Yeah, and Stellar did use Death Blossom during the fight, but was broken up almost instantly. So it's another reason why you don't see Reaper get a ton of play. The ultimate, it does do a ton of damage in an AoE circle, but really easy to interrupt.
Yeah, and you can, especially with speed boost now, you can just get away from it. You can, outrange yourself from it.
Nano boost on Reaper could be pretty nasty here, though. Most likely, you'll probably see it on the Reinhardt to add some durability.
Again, and get Yakpung closer to his next Earthshatter. The last one, not super successful for him. There it is, yeah. So Yakpung's going to get it. Pushing on now, and the Valiant have to take a step back. Custer quickly speeding them out of range. They disengage. They could have done that to a Death Blossom as well. Here's the Transcendence. Have a Custer and Fate both get hit with Biotic Grenades. So keep an eye on those health bars at the top. Fate manages to survive that. Pushes Yakpung over. 22 seconds left in the round. The Valiant, good progress on this attack, but here's the responding Transcendence. This lets the Defiant push right out into what would otherwise be a very dangerous situation. Look where Aid is standing behind the payload. Again, it's very desperate, very aggressive play to try and secure a kill. Stella tries to phase out of this one, but he will get caught. Bubble, nice quick bubble. He goes for the Death Blossom. Bubble on Kariv as well, but Kariv has to back away. Stella gets to hang around. Inside the grab, he finds the kill on Kariv, but Custer finishes him off, and the Valiant get there.
You're not able to make the Reaper work on defense there for Toronto. The Valiant do complete the map, Mitch. Still no chance to win this series. See if they can win the map after the break.
Izayaki, at the end of that last round, obviously the Valiant finished the attacking side, but he looked pretty dejected, not happy with the overall performance today, but definitely some bright spots for him throughout this series, Matt.
And I think it's just going to be a process with this Valiant team that you add a flex support who is this good, who can deal so much damage. You're going to have to change the way you play around him. He plays, a little bit more aggressive, I feel like, than like Kariv did when Kariv was in the flex support role. Izayaki out looking for blood. You're going to need to support him a little bit more. I think they'll the Valiant, they have some of the pieces here, right? I think it's just, you got to win some of these close games. I mean, they'll lose 3 at the beginning of the year. It's rough.
I mean, it pretty much, It all but puts the Valiant out of a shot at stage playoffs. Now, they probably have to win out from here to be considered. And their map differential would then be an issue. So it's pretty brutal for them. It's been a tough run for them, in all fairness. They've gone up against two of the top teams, or at least teams from week one that seem to be the top. Keep an eye on where Fate and Yakpung are in terms of their respective health pools. Ivy finally gets worked down by Izayaki. Again, Discord Orb really helping him out there. Remember, Zarya can shed an enemy Discord Orb by giving herself her shield. So she doesn't worry too much about getting discorded if she can just bubble it up. But Zarya also doesn't want to waste their bubble on getting rid of a Discord when they otherwise might be able to get some good damage out of it.
So Toronto's going to try and flip the script here. They're going to go around to the right side staircase. They're going to push all the way around. Maybe they're going to go for the high ground here. You're trying to get the Valiant to chase you up there and then drop back down at the car and like kind of do the same old like song and dance again. Like
so strange. All right, so the metagame of trying to outposition one another continues to develop and unfold. We're seeing innovations right before our very eyes. The Defiant get back to the payload. So the net result of all that sort of moving around is that they swap sides. That's probably the simplest way to put it. Stelly, notice he'll just be able to swing through that Reinhardt shield. Doesn't stop his flail, and they get agilities as a result. Important pick there. You can see Aid was knocked down on the payload and is removed, so now it's traded out, 1 for 1. Izayaki sat in front of his enemy spawn with Transcendence there, making quite the statement. There's 2 minutes and 28 seconds for the Defiant to make progress, but the Valiant are just like, yo, we're gonna sit outside your house, we're gonna ring your doorbell a couple times, we're gonna run away.
Custa went to go use sound barrier there.
Yeah, he didn't get that.
Ends up dropping, yeah, that's tough. So, and it doesn't get easier for the Valiant. Their next 2 games, they have the next one coming up is against the Vancouver Titans, which I know we'll see them play the San Francisco Shock right after this. And then they play the Guangzhou Charge. 2 very tough games for the Valiant. I mean,
so with 20,
they've had a tough schedule.
With 20 teams in the league, right, and the Valiant only playing 7 of them after stage 1, they could go 0-7, and you could still not say for sure that they are not in the top half of teams in the Overwatch
and then their last 2 games of the stage are Philly and Houston. No gimmies for the Valiant here at stage 1.
That's putting it lightly, Matthew. Wow. Graviton Surge there, Fate gets that shield around to prevent from that backside self-destruct, and Roki actually a casualty of the responding pulse self-destruct, sorry, from space. Over on the point, Transcendence being used. It was agility charged out by Yakpung. You can see that the Defiant are planning around the payload. They want the Valiant to come to them for the time being. No key ultimates left late in this fight, so it is old-fashioned slap and dash. Try and find these left clicks connecting. That was Fate to fall down. Now you can see Kariv is, good heavens. He disappeared, but deleted.
I think the scary thing with Toronto, and as like teams are watching them play, like they're only going to get more comfortable in this environment as time goes on. I think I know Ivy said maybe it was him, like he had a little bit of nerves in their first match against the Outlaws, and once they start to get comfortable, it's going to be scary. You know, they have a lot of talent. It's almost like a little bit of like the Boston Uprising from last year, right? Where we got here and everyone said, oh man, they've been really strong. Like, nobody believed it, but then we saw them come out and do it. They were really good.
Matt, that was really subtle. But Roki just booped the Valiant off the high ground and forced them down maybe before they would have liked. Things like that can really turn the game in your favor if executed properly, and it's sort of caused a team fight that's given a 1-for-1 trade so far. You can see the Defiant actually kind of got split themselves. The Valiant's aggression, it was tough for the Defiant to keep up with half their team going this way, the head going the other way.
But look how patient the Defiant are. They don't end up trying to get caught up in winning that fight once they're even on players and investing some ultimates, because they know that's exactly what the Valiant wanted them to do.
Okay, so if you're the Chondu Hunters right there,
oh, they go all in.
They go in.
They go all in. Oh man, I love watching the Hunters, dude.
I can't wait to get to cast
They play so aggressive.
Eamon is just a heck of a lot of fun to see it work. But right now, Izayaki, a little bit of a mastermind himself. Transcendence, quick response. It's going to be the shield from Fate that needs to be there, but he's charged out of the way, taken down. But both main take the trade. Space doing very good to at least secure 1-for-1s in these self-destruct transactions.
It's interesting, he's done that a few times, where they'll get grabbed and he'll use the self-destruct in their own grab, because then, you know, if the Reinhardt charges Fate, it's like, okay, you're going to try and go get some kills, your Reinhardt's going to end up dropping as well.
Well, your Reinhardt is trying to charge our Reinhardt out of the way, so there's no shield, but you don't have a shield either, by the way, so it's clever.
Just running into your own death.
And the Valiant don't have to use a Graviton to actually get a potential kill off the self-destruct. So in that sense, it's actually kind of more efficient. All right, well, the Lumerico power plant looms, and the Defiant would very much like to be inside. And now they need to knock on the door. What's the password? It's unlike the Valiant, we're going to let them through with that one. Graviton to the payload. Yakun tries to go for a... no shadow there, but got knocked out towards the right-hand side. Space trying to dive through, desuited, self-destructed. We'd like to have his mech back, but he's caught up in the grab here. He's motored down as Ivy just bears down on him in a rate of knots. With 1 minute left, the Defiant are going to be pretty comfortable. They're going to have some time in the bank, Matt.
And I love how aggressive Ivy plays. You see the grab come down, he lays it, and then the self-destruct comes out from space, and No Fear just pops his own bubble, still pumping the damage in, right? So, you know, every time we've gone on with him, he's been able to keep this charge throughout a lot of this series. And you know, as good as Kareev has been, Ivy's just been a tad bit better today.
I think dying 3 less times probably means Ivy has
huge.
more overall, like, sort of average energy.
I mean, 17% on average for the whole game, but you know, each fight he's coming in already, you know, at least halfway charged. Kareev has to work his way up.
And it takes time. It takes more than 2 bubbles to get 100% charge. Keep that in mind. Big knockdown, though. Yakung, Envy, and Stella were on their butts. But it was the Transcendence that kept them up despite that. So Ivy feels pretty good about that one. Some key ultimates being used. He knows he's got a Graviton. Rather quickly charged. One takes him 1 minute and 12 seconds to get a grab on average. And the Valiant are going to get dashed aside. This could be a problem for Los Angeles. They need to hold out for as long as they can. If Toronto finish with more than a minute left, they're going to be very happy with that. And that's a bit of a benchmark.
Custo is just trying to be a nuisance there on the cart. Just boot some players out of the way as you're really playing around Kareev's grab here at the end. He uses it, get Ivy, Yakung, and Stellar inside of it. So you do get the team wipe. You're going to come back in the next fight, though. You're going to have a lot of ultimates here for Toronto.
Yeah.
And by a lot, all. So you have a good opportunity to close it out.
But if that doesn't work, and we've seen plenty of teams bring these 6 packs of ultimates into the fights here, he's just chilling. I mean, again,
the pressure
he doesn't
really
want to go back to spawn. If he gets caught here, that would be really bad for him.
Yeah.
The Valiant had no idea that he was so sort of deep in their territory. He can come from behind. Oh, he's back out. He's back out. Custer realizes that. He's trying to get there in time. Envy sent the self-destruct over. Now he's forced to go to he gets the deal anyway. Come on! That's not allowed. He's not even playing the same game as everyone else here. It's like that 10D underwater Mahjong, maybe? Custer now trying to back
they had
up.
used the grab to try and prevent the Valiant from getting
I was peeking out for a moment there. That was a bit too much. Ivy up on the payload now. Space's self-destruct doesn't do a whole lot. He can't get back in the mech. Agilities and Kareev working together to try and deal with Roki, but they're a bigger fish to fry. The problem is that Aid is going to make it very hard to find kills for the Valiant now. Toronto trying to sail across the line, but they might have to do it in overtime at this rate. Fate returns to the fray. Ivy is there, charged up, and needs to be careful. They're going to push him down. He put his barrier up, but he's taken away from the pitcher. Roki booped, and the Defiant don't get there. The Los Angeles Valiant, in a very wacky last minute of play, managed to hold on and get themselves a map win on Dorado. It will not, however, be enough to give them the W in this series.
Just fall a little short yet again. Now, a lot of their series have gone the distance. This one ends in a 2-1. Now, we look back at the end of the year at some of these games that happen early, and you're like, oh, I know the team has time to get into shape. There's not that much time in the overall landscape of this season to put together a good string of wins. It's going to make their lives much tougher towards the end, but Toronto, that they move to 2-1, you're looking at them to be a force here in stage 1.
Speaking of Defiant, the looks on the Valiant fans' faces say it all. Ride or die with Los Angeles, and they're going to have to hang on for a little bit here because, like you said, their strength of schedule for the Valiant for the rest of the stage is nothing short of frightening. They have some incredibly tough opponents to take on, but with the way the league's been so far, with teams pitching between big wins and shocking losses, anything is possible. The Valiant would need to win out from here to make stage playoffs, but there clearly seems to be some rebuilding, some retooling happening on this roster at this time. And it's going to take a little bit longer to figure it out. And the answers aren't always forthcoming, but that's the way the Overwatch League works sometimes. We're going to head now down to the floor with Danny in our post-match interview.
Thank you guys so much. What is up, everybody? I am here with Envy from Toronto Defiant. Envy, I feel like this matchup today that you just finished was a bit more special for you because you just defeated your former teammate, LA Valiant. How are you feeling? 자, 지금 경기 조금 더 제가 봤을 때 엔비 선수에게 좀 더 특별한 의미가 있지 않을까 생각이 드네요. 아무래도 예전 팀이었던 LA 팀과의 경기에서 이기시게 되셨는데 지금 소감 한 말씀 부탁드릴게요.
일단 예전 팀이 발리언트긴 한데 그래도 그런 거 신경 많이 안 쓰면서 그냥 이제 즐기면서 하는 쪽으로 그렇게 연습해서 경기가 좀 잘 됐던 것 같아요.
I think the match went well for me because although LA Valiants were my former teammates, I didn't really put too much emphasis on that, and I just had fun. I just practiced a lot, and that's how we won. All right, your next match will be against NYXL, one of the strongest teams in the league currently. How are you guys preparing for that matchup? 자, 다음 경기 뉴욕과의 경기 좀 어떻게 준비를 하고 계신가요?
일단 뉴욕 경기일 때 이제 우리 팀의 이제 네코 선수가 이제 징계가 풀려서 이번 뉴욕 경기 때 참여할 수 있게 되는데 아무래도 호흡을 많이 안 맞춰봤어가지고 그 뉴욕 경기 전까지 연습을 좀 더 해서 열심히 할 수 있게 노력하겠습니다.
So Neko will be playing for the NYXL matchup. So we actually didn't get to scrim a lot with Neko, but we're gonna practice and we'll see how it goes. Alrighty, thank you everyone. Give it up for MV. Back to you guys, casters.
Well, I guess sometimes it's nice to be considered an underdog in these matchups, but I think that time is pretty much over for the Toronto Defiant. Here are your overall standings as it stands with one game left in week 2. Matt, what are your thoughts?
I mean, the Valiant go all the way down to 20th. Wow. If you need me to tell you, it's a 20-team league. That would place them down at the bottom. So Defiant, they move up to 6th. So I think you look at some of those teams, they're in the top 8. You're like, who's the most surprising? Maybe it's the Hunters. Maybe it's the Defiant. They've looked really strong this far. I'm excited to know when they get Neko back in the lineup. He was really strong for the Boston Uprising last year. Excited to see if he makes a difference for Toronto.
I mean, yeah, let's not forget what he added to that particular roster as well. A veteran player now, coming into a team that's full of, obviously, players that are being developed as well with leadership from people like Envy. That's really going to definitely help the structure of that team. As we look, of course, to the Valiant, if we look back over the course of this match and consider how things have evolved, they're still trying to find out what they're doing with that main support position, still trying to, find a way to integrate that Winston play, with a very aggressive main tank in Fate. There's a lot of things to be considering for them, and still much work to be done.
You have a much better roster on paper than last in the league right now, although early. You expect the Valiant to make a run. You just don't know whether it's going to be too late for the overall season playoffs. We have a lot less matches than we do.
That's right.
I know last year we had 40 games, this year 28. Not a lot of time to make up the difference.
That's right. Well, it's time now to have a look at your player of the match, brought to you by HP, of course. A lot of candidates here, to be sure, but Ivy is going to be the one coming away with the honors today again. Zaya, we talked about how much ridiculous damage output there was from both sides of the coin, and Ivy was definitely right up there.
He was filthy today, man. I mean, every time that we would go on board with him, 90 plus energy, he'd use a grab, 10 seconds later, he's got another one. I'm excited, when they play NYXL to see him go up against like Nene, see if they can go toe-to-toe in that Zarya matchup. That's going to be really sick.
Now, we can still see here, expectant towards some of these big Zarya matchups, and almost 100k.
Okay, fair, he did have one map where he had like 26,000 damage, but like, that's just unreal. I mean, to put together almost 100k damage by yourself in a 4-game series,
yes.
I mean, that's pretty impressive.
So if you look, if you're gonna look back 5 years from now at the stats of Zarya in this season, take it with a pinch of salt, knowing that they are often called upon to be the main damage dealers here. But there's still some more damage to be done right here in this very arena. Coming up next, what many would consider to be our match of the week. The Vancouver Titans at 2-0 take on the San Francisco Shock at 1-1. 2 heavyweights of the Overwatch League. Battle it out. It's all happening right here. Hopefully you'll join us. Stick around. We'll see you then.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota, official North American partner of the Overwatch League. Toyota,